Today is a bit of an important video. I even have notes that I've written down to make sure that I get this exactly right. Check! Welcome back to the channel, folks. So I've been wanting to make a couple of videos, relating to photography and videography and cinematography, but my conscience isn't really allowing me to do that without making one about the current situation that we are in first. Before we go any further, I really have to give props to all my friends and the people that I personally know who are going on Instagram live and making this a much more bearable experience. I mean, I've been having like mini concerts in my bedroom, having workout sessions. And having amazing people come in and talk about important things. So yeah, hats off to all of you guys that are doing this. On a personal level, with the whole coronavirus situation and the lockdown, personally I don't take it very seriously. Simply because I'm ignorant towards situations like this, but also because my mind is at a different place. I'm not surrounded too much by uncertainty. I'm very privileged to work in an industry where this situation hasn't affected my day job. And also a big part of it is that my mind is at the right place. Last year we went through a similar situation with the Easter bombings, pretty much in the exact same time frame, and back then I was panicking a lot more and I had so much more uncertainty in my life, and that's why I want to make this video. I want to try and portray what has changed between Easter last year to Easter this year. So the topic I want to talk about is debt. I feel like this is the best time to talk about personal financial management and debt, because we are in a situation where this directly affects everything in our life. It affects our friendships, it affects our relationships, it affects our family, it affects our mind, and it affects our ability to multitask. And just like everybody else, I grew up fearing debt. I didn't want to owe money to anybody, to anything, or to any banks, because it was always associated with a lot of negative facts. But as you get older, and when you get a lot more experience, you start realizing there are two kinds of debts. There's lights on. I should make it a little better, but where was I? So as you get older, you realize that there are two kinds of debts: the good debt and the bad debt. So in a nutshell, the good debt is debt that will make you more money in the long run, and the bad debt is the kind of debt that won't make you money. So for example, if you take out a loan for your education or for a business, eventually that will pay out and it'll make you more money. But if you spend, or if you take a loan to buy shoes or an expensive watch, or spend it on an elaborate wedding that you can't afford, that's bad debt. Now, credit cards fall in a bit of a gray area. And it's the kind of debt that a lot of people fear. I've yet to meet anybody who has been very positive towards credit cards, or who has had any positive experiences with credit cards. Essentially, credit cards are just a 30-day loan. If you carry a balance forward, after the 30 days, you get subjected to interest, and this interest is what makes it scary. Credit card interests are pretty much all the time twice as much as, or even 3 times as much sometimes, as what you would get if you borrowed money from a bank through a loan. So for example, on a normal bank loan, you would pay somewhere around 12 to 15% interest annually, whereas on a credit card, you'd sometimes go up to even 35% or even more. So to give a bit of a backstory, I've been using credit cards since 2016, and then 2 years later, my own bank offered a credit card, so I took that as well. So currently I have 2 credit cards. On top of that, 18 months ago, this very bank gave me the opportunity to apply for a loan without guarantors, or like, I didn't have to get other people involved. At first I was wondering, why would I need I didn't have any expenses. I wasn't doing any studies at the time. I didn't need the money. So I didn't really have to take the loan, but I slept on it. I spoke to my dad, and eventually a couple of days later I decided, I'm just gonna apply for the loan and use that money to grow my freelance gig a bit, and kind of get back into having multiple streams of revenue. That's the craze right now. They say, if you want to be successful, you make multiple streams of revenue. So I decided to take the loan and invest it. So when I got that huge chunk of money, I invested quarter of it in my own freelance gig. I invested another quarter of it in an investment outside or elsewhere that I didn't have any control over, and half of it was tucked away in a fixed deposit as a rainy day fund or whatever. So that thing is going to make money on its own, and I was really banking on all the other two investments to make up for the difference that I would be paying in interest. And thankfully I didn't spend a single cent of that fund on anything other than things that would make me more money. And the grand plan was 3 to 4 years from that time, I would be cashing out, and all my investments would have paid off, and the return on investment would have been fine, and this and that. So that was my debt portfolio. I had a little bit of debt from credit cards, and I had this massive debt from the bank loan. So why am I talking about my debt? Fine, I had the bank loan, I had a plan, I didn't have too much bad debt. But when the Easter bombings happened, my head just flipped around. The whole point of me taking on a loan when I didn't really need one was banking on the fact that I'd have a stable income for the next foreseeable future, and the fact that the country that I'm living in, or Sri Lanka, wouldn't suffer any economical devastating, or wouldn't suffer any economically wouldn't be in a situation where it would affect the country's economy. And then long behold, 6 months later the bombs hit, and then everything shuts down, and you're very uncertain. And I, a man child that had just borrowed a lot of money, was in a situation where I was thinking to myself, I with my savings and the half of the chunk of money that I didn't spend is not enough to cover that loan in case I decide to quit. And I couldn't quit. I've already committed the 5-year plan, and I was thinking to myself, what have I gotten myself into? I have so much debt. I might lose a job in a month or two. I might have to look elsewhere for a job. What the hell am I going to do? And this is the first time I experienced something like this, and it was eating into my relationships. It was eating into my family relationships. It was eating into my mental capacity. So I couldn't think straight. I was always easily 60 to 70% of my brain was invested in being upset about the fact that I made a bad decision. And that's why I'm bringing up debt right now. I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are uncertain, their uncertainty is amplified 3-4 times over if there is debt involved. And for me last year, that was the case. I was extremely upset and sad that I made this decision, and I couldn't cope. Emotionally, I was hit. How was I going to get over this? My initial plan was 5 years from the day of, acquiring that fund. Suddenly in 6 months, everything goes sideways, and I had to think about contingencies, which I hadn't set up for before, because I didn't expect this. This literally just came out of nowhere. Emotionally, it was killing me inside. I couldn't even come up with a plan B at the time because of this uncertainty. At the time, my liquid net worth was minus. Liquid net worth in the sense, all my savings and the cash I would get from selling all my assets right now, or if I put all of that together, I'm still in a minus number. So that was like looming like a gray cloud over my head when I got up in the morning, when I went to have lunch, or when I went back to bed, when I slept. That was the only thing that was looming in my head. I had a good handle over my credit cards. I didn't have any worry over that. But I had, pushed my credit utilization. I think that's what I call it. Like, for example, if I had 100 rupees of credit, I was almost at the point where I was spending almost 80 rupees of that. So my credit utilization at the time was somewhere around 80%. But that was all because of, me spending on like camera gear or spending money out on shoots. Whenever I would put food, clothing, or like just going out shopping, whenever I put all of those expenses on my card, at the end of the month I would clear it out and I would only roll forward any of the installments that I had. For example, my phone, I bought that on an installment for 20 months. Some of the camera gear I had, so I was paying around 5% of interest for the past 4 years of my day job income. This is not taking into account any of my freelance money that I've acquired through these camera gear. So it wasn't too bad. And when you take into account all the reward points and the fact that you get travel insurance with the credit cards, with any of the plane tickets that I bought. So all of that was an acceptable interest to pay. And it was always under 5%. It wasn't anything more than that. After we got out of the whole bombing situation, life turns back into normal. I didn't want to feel like that again. I started, going online and looking at or following YouTube channels that talk about financial management and, that talks about debt and how to deal with it. Namely, there are two people that I follow. One guy's name is Matt Diavella and the other guy's name is Graham Stephen, if I'm not mistaken. I started following these guys and, educating myself about how to emotionally deal with debt and to, realize what bad debt is and what good debt is. And almost 90% of the debt that I had was good debt. But at the time when the bombings happened, I couldn't see that. All I was thinking was, this is the end of my career. I'm going to need somebody to bail me out. But after the whole situation, when I didn't want to feel like that, I just educated myself and tried to piece together a better plan. And the biggest aspect of this learning curve was my emotional capacity. How am I going to stop myself from feeling depressed or upset or sad about this situation? And how do I remove that emotion from the equation so that I can, work harder or plan better or, push all my mental capacity towards solving the situation at hand. Because it does really eat into the whole situation. Everything seems like it's 10 times worse. There's this age-old saying that, knowing is half the battle. I can't remember where the quote is from, but I'm pretty sure somebody important said it once. And that's what I'm trying to bring out. The fact that I was emotionally in a bad state, it just creeps in. When you're emotionally affected by debt, it creeps into everything. When you're having dinner, when you're having lunch, breakfast, when you're on a phone call to a family member, even when you're watching a movie that is trying to distract you from bad situations, it just creeps in. Last year my liquid net worth was minus. This year it's still minus, and it's going to be minus for the next 2 to 3 years because the return on investment of the grand plan for this whole situation ends in 3 or 4 years. By that time, fingers crossed, I'd have a positive income. Then you're probably asking, okay, why am I making this video? What has changed since last year? And what's changed is what's in here. Today, when we are in a situation where everything is locked down, where it's really hard to get food, people are not sure if they'll have jobs to go get back into. That uncertainty is there, but I'm not emotionally getting affected by it because I've been through the mill once. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people right now that are maybe going through what I went through last year, where I didn't know what the next step was, and all I could think about is how upset I was. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that are feeling down or feeling uncertain, and the fact that they have debt, or if there is debt in their lives, that this amplifies it, is a situation that you can get yourself out to. If you haven't started already looking at, you know, your debt portfolio, or if you haven't, you know, started putting all your expenses into a spreadsheet and calculating where your money is going, start now. Start like you're probably at home doing nothing. Just, you know, backtrack 6 months and see where your money is gone. Because having a rainy day fund is like such an important thing. And the fact that I'm not emotionally affected by uncertainty right now helps me so much in, you know, making sure that I feel grateful for what I have right now. I feel it helps me feel grateful for the fact that I still have a job when a lot of people might not have jobs. It makes me work harder. It makes me put a lot more effort and mental capacity into the job that I'm doing. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to get at. I don't know if I made any sense for this whole damn video. But anyway, bottom line is, figure out what your bad debts are and what your good debts are. Start today, because we're definitely gonna get through this. As a human race, as long as you stay indoors, you're gonna get through this. So the first thing you should do is get a hold of your debt portfolio. You know, let me know if this is a topic that you guys are interested in. Full disclaimer, I'm not a financial guru by no means. Should anybody be taking advice from me? I needed to make this video so that I can go back to making videos about photography. But as of last year, you know, personal finance has been an interesting topic for me. So if you guys want to explore that topic a little bit more, just let me know in the comments or DM me. Maybe I can, you know, get into more detail of how I use my credit cards, or the difficulties I have with having 2 credit cards, the difficulties with, you know, having a bank loan and stuff like that. You know, it is a part of my life that I'm very interested in right now. So hey, if you want to know about it, maybe I can divulge into the specifics of those things as well. But anyways, now that I've gotten this coronavirus topic out of the way, it's a rite of passage for anybody who has a YouTube channel or Instagram page. I've done it. You're not going to hear about it again. So yeah, subscribe, leave a comment, like this video, share it with your friends, all the good stuff. Okay.